Soul Night Live, number 30. Today our guest is Genesis guitarist Steve Hackett.
Hello, is that Sean?
It is Sean. Steve, how are you?
Hi Sean, this is Steve Hackett.
Good day. Thank you for giving me a ring. I appreciate it.
That's okay. Just calling you from the UK, where it is 7:30 at night here.
Okay, so you're just settling in after dinner?
Something like that, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, thank you. We had a chat about a month ago, and I wanted to cover some other
Sean.
things.
Nice to talk again.
Yeah. Well, thank you for a return visit. I appreciate that. Cool. I wanted to check back and see how the biography is going. I was curious if you're sold out or if it's still available and all that.
Well, it's still available, and we're still selling it, and Amazon is selling it, and bookshops are selling it. Certainly in this country. So everywhere else, I don't know. But it seems to be going fine. I'm okay for half an hour talking to you, and then I have another one. If that's okay, Sean.
That's perfect.
So that seems to be going well. Recording's going well. Lots of recording projects, live album due to come out on the 25th, and so on and so forth. You know, I'm recording with a will at the moment. Really going at it to try and get as many things recorded as possible before there's another lockdown, shutdown, election, war, flood, famine, or fire. So
yes.
got to do it while we're still at peak.
Is this the makings of another solo album you're working on, or some other things?
Yeah, I'm working on several at once. I'm working on several projects at once. That's just the way I like to operate at the moment. I'm not used to pulling back from live gigs. This is a bit of a shock to my system and to Joe's as well. So we're filling our time with being as productive as possible. We are working on several projects at once. I realise I strictly speaking, the current things are ready to book and the live album, but there are things in the pipeline after that. The Selling England show, the Spectral show, and Joe and I have been kicking around the idea for another book, but this one would be a double header. So things are busy. It's in some ways it's very nice to be able to concentrate on creative stuff rather than performing stuff. But then that means you're not engaging with people in the way you normally do. So it's a strange world, and we look forward to the post-COVID great coming together after all this.
I totally agree.
Booked for next year. As I probably said last time we spoke, shows are due to kick off in the States from April onwards. If people are open for business, we'll be open for business. This is the only degree of certainty I can talk with.
Sure. Well, my fingers are crossed, and I hope next year is better than 2020.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I don't know. We will see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great people in this world, so I just we can't listen to the news all the time because it's more about what we find in day-to-day life, and I find there's a lot of great people. So fingers crossed.
Well, indeed, yes.
Fingers crossed.
The silent majority.
Exactly. It's like
there are a lot of great people. It's not just those who would
shout the loudest.
Lead us and lie to us, and that does seem to be endemic because media it's so quick to be able to indoctrinate, and propaganda was really served up quite so instantly as it is at the moment. But the truth has never been quite so unpopular as it is at the moment.
I know.
The idea is that basically, you repeat something, your soundbite, which becomes a mantra, and even if it's patently untrue, you keep doing it. This is how you rule. This is how you hoodwink people. And luckily, I'm in the music business and not in politics. I'm able to give people the real thing.
Yeah, exactly.
This is from the heart. I don't have to have another agenda.
Exactly. There's no faking music. Well, in the best instances.
There's no faking it.
Exactly.
That's right.
Okay, so the biography is still available. I was just curious if it was like a one-time printing, and once they're gone, they're gone. But it sounds like they're quite available all around.
It seems to have gone into at least one a rerun, and we're ordering more and more so that we can sell them via our web store. It's I guess it's a hit.
Yeah, it is.
I always figure, anything that's still on sale is a hit. It's selling. That's fine. I mean, normally one would have had a press get together. You'd invite people and all that. Invite all your friends. Invite the press and have a party and ply them with drinks and all that. Press the flesh, but. That's not really available at this moment in time. So there are other ways of doing this. Traditions are going out the window, aren't they? We're rewriting the rule book, and it's shifting sands, of course. So nobody knows where it's going next. We hope for the virus. We hope that AstraZeneca will come up trumps, if I can quote that. I know they feel they've got something which is going to be very effective for all of us. So one hopes that that gets out to people pretty soon, and we hope that governments don't mess it up by trying to discredit something that might be valid, might be effective. But just because they couldn't get hold of it first,
Right, yeah.
Let's not expel the virtues or discredit
it's like
at this point in time.
Like a big game of one-upmanship, it seems like. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to read between the lines the whole time. Everyone has to be his own fortune teller, newscaster, and all the rest, and watch a variety of news programs. Watch them all, and somehow, somewhere along the line, you'll get the information.
Yeah, you just have to kind of cobble it together.
I'm watching, at least 3 different news channels at the moment. I watch the BBC, but often it's very patchy. The reportage. I watch Channel 4 over here, which is much more questioning. And for international news, I tend to watch Al Jazeera, because then you get the idea from the other side of the tracks, just how many refugees there are, and all the things that are going wrong, rather than just interviewing people who are merely local and getting stuck in parochial issues and divisions. It's important to have a window on the world, and it can be very difficult to find.
Absolutely.
I sometimes talk to people and I say, "Oh, you're aware that there's 80 million displaced people because of war and all the rest," and they have no idea that it might be like that. It's not just the homeless on the street. But anyway, you probably wanted to talk about things more musical.
Well, I did have a few questions. The live album, that's the Selling England by the Pound tour, is that correct?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Okay, and is that already available, or is that coming out soon?
No, it's going to be out on the 25th.
Okay.
Apparently, the web store have got copies, and in a couple of days I'm going to go and sign a whole bunch of them. But at the moment, I haven't seen a finished one yet. But I'm looking forward to getting it in my hand. it always sounds better when it's got a cover, if you know what I mean.
Certainly.
It doesn't feel so much like a bootleg. Suddenly it's official. Wow.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, is this a DVD?
I know it sounds great. It's got a mix by both Roger King and also Stephen Wilson. Wilson has done the surround mix. Roger has done the stereo mix. In terms of material, I think it's the best live album I've done because it goes right back almost as far as the beginning for me. So that's reassuring. Nice to do stuff from sunny England, which I'm still very proud of, and it's nice to have this as an alternative version of the whole thing, plus the missing track that I feel should have gone on the album in '73.
Is that the
all those years ago, the Deja Vu track, which I played live as part of it to give people the whole or the complete Selling England by the Pound, and our response to that has been very good. So
now is this
very happy.
Is this a DVD and a CD? You could watch it and listen to it?
Yeah. It's everything. Yeah, it's DVD, it's CD, it's audio CD, it's Blu-ray, and at some point I'm sure that it will, at some point, although not immediately, it will become available as vinyl. It's too good to miss. And I got a feeling it's going to be the best selling of all the live albums I've done, just because I think the subject matter is it's favourite albums. It's stuff from 3 favourite albums plus stuff from Trick of the Tail, stuff that tops and tails it. Trick of the Tail, the opening track. Dance on a Volcano, closing track Los Endos. So it really covers 4 albums in total. But the majority of it is Selling England. Then it's Spectral with highlights from Spectral, the most tourable stuff, the robust stuff. The songs that work best live, and some introductory stuff from At the Edge of Light, the last studio album, and as I say, 2 tracks from Trick of the Tail. So it covers Genesis as a 5-piece, Genesis as a 4-piece, things at the extremes of my solo stuff, both early stuff from 1979 and stuff from 40 years later, At the Edge of Light.
Okay, well, excellent. We will keep an eye out for that. I had a couple questions for you. I was wondering, it's been about 10 years now since the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Yeah.
And I was just curious if you had any memories of the night that you could share with us.
It was like many of these things. It was a very formal occasion, and I think getting together with everybody, of course, who I hadn't seen for some time. It was great to be able to introduce my wife Jo to the Genesis guys and their ladies. Plus, I think, although the evening started off in a very kind of formal kind of way, it's a bit like a wedding. At the beginning, everyone's turning up in their best suits and best bib and tucker, and then when they've loosened up a bit and the entertainment was on the speeches, it became a very personal evening, and it became very emotional. I could see the guys were enjoying. I could see Phil really wanted to go out and dance and do it and clap along, and there were various people right across the board. And I thought it was great to see ABBA being inducted, the Hollies, Graham Nash, second time for him, I think, being inducted. Getting to talk to some of these people, Jimmy Cliff, who sounded wonderful, up there. Got to talk to him a little bit. That was quite extraordinary, to meet Robbie Robertson. And everywhere you look, there was, someone who was an extraordinary part of the music biz history. Plus, the other thing is that they do celebrate writers, often posthumously, and one felt that that's honor was served in terms of people being there in spirit. And I noticed in recent years that they honoured the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, and I was a huge fan of Butterfield as a fellow harmonica player. And when we were being inducted, I said at one point to the press in open forum, I said, I gather we're the first, remotely progressive band to be honoured in this way, but I was working with Chris Squire at the time, and I know he wanted to attend the ceremony, and I said to him later, I suggested that they be honoured. I felt that it was long overdue for them, and so
absolutely,
and they were in recent years. So sometimes justice is served. Sometimes it takes a little while for that to happen. But it was a great evening for all sorts of reasons.
Well, just seeing I've got a box set of highlights from the different inductions, and it was cool to watch that.
Yeah.
Was there any talk ever of you all performing at it?
Well, I know they wanted us to, and I know the guys didn't want to do that. So I felt that it might be gauche if I was going to be the lone wolf up there.
Sure.
In front of the band, doing a song and dance act. So in a way, I think because there was this idea that Phil was no longer going to be doing any more shows at that point, there was a reluctance on the part of the band. So I thought, okay, well, we should stand united, even though I'd be perfectly capable of playing these tunes, and indeed I do.
Sure.
As you know, at the moment, I was then and I am now. Not exclusively, because life moves forward at quite a pace at the moment.
No, sure does.
But yes, that would have been terrific if we'd done that. But you have to move at the speed of the team. There's something to do with being part of the regiment, or having been part of the regiment, and there's a kind of code, a silent code, a lot of the time.
Sure.
So it would have been gauche to have done that, but who knows what the future may hold.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I won't be so reticent.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed.
Whatever it might be. The main thing is I'm still. So I was going to do Seconds Out next time. When we get back to live shows, I'll be doing the whole of Seconds Out.
Excellent.
As well as solo things as well.
Okay. Well, any thoughts on the performance of the Genesis tunes by Fish? That actually introduced Genesis to a wider audience, I think. Some of my younger friends, that was kind of the first time they heard Watcher.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that there are certain songs that I think the version of the band that continued on after I left and after Gabriel left, those songs are really a kind of an abandoned place, and often regarded controversially as something that they did when they were very young, and they'll usually tell you what was wrong with it. Whereas my memory is that John Lennon said that we were a band that he was currently listening to when that album was current. So that's good enough for me. That means it joins my personal Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I carried the banner for that. I want to keep that legacy alive. I think it was too innovative a brand to be allowed to be forgotten.
Absolutely. All right. Another quick question for you. We talked last time about your two-handed tapping, and
Sure.
you had mentioned that you did it originally to try and play a piece by Bach. And I was curious,
Yep.
how early was that? What year would you say that happened?
The year would have been 1971.
Okay.
It was when I just joined Genesis, and I was playing the solo on the musical box, and I thought I've been trying to play something that sounds remotely like Toccata and Fugue by Bach, just a few phrases, and I realized the best way to do it was to do it on one string and hammer on and hammer off with both hands. So then I used it on the solo, and we used to play it live, and I found that I could use this technique and play it in time, and I carried on using that technique on all the subsequent Genesis albums, and we had a lot of moments where Tony and I would do things in harmony.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be triplets, sometimes faster than that. And I found I could do triplets, or I could do demi-semi-quavers. I guess the most successful solo utilizing that was the one on Dancing with the Moonlit Night, which I know is another track that the band Fish mentioned for its innovative moments. So I'm proud of that as well. And most people mention the fifth solo. They say, "Oh, that's my favorite Genesis one," and I think it's the most famous Genesis guitar solo. But I think the one that's possibly the most innovative is the one on Dancing with the Moonlit Night, which the band Fish talked about the fact that it featured tapping and octave jumps and sweep picking. So it's nice that people picked up on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, in terms of a box of tricks, I guess it was a very modern guitar solo ahead of its time. The idea of furiously fast things, some things which were much slower, but something that was always surprising. So I do happen to love the tune, Dancing with the Moonlit Night. It's got some extraordinary moments, lots of surprises.
Oh yeah, I'd say it's a tour de force. Another quick question for you. You were sporting a beard back in the nursery crime days, and you've been pretty much clean shaven ever since. So I was curious, have you ever grown the beard out just on vacation or whatever since then?
Well, I've gone unshaven for a few days, but I can't see me going back to the beard at this point. I can't see it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Doesn't feel quite right. Nor the moustache. But maybe one day when I look a bit like Father Christmas, I might do that.
Yeah, it'll complete the look. There you go.
You got to have the box set. The hood, the boots, the beard.
Every day on my Facebook page, I feature a different album for my readers to talk about. And a couple days, I featured the GTR album. And it was interesting how many people replied about it. It's the one that people are really divided about. And I was just curious, your thoughts on that whole thing. And did it wind up kind of being maybe more commercial than you expected it to be initially? I mean, was there maybe a different direction that you might have wanted it to go in, or how did that all unfold?
Well, I think that both Steve Howe and myself, we felt the commercial pressures at that time. The 1980s was a time when you could get maximum exposure, but you had to do something that was MTV friendly. And I think the danger of the 1980s, and I think that GTR suffered from this, was the fact that very quickly you can end up doing something that's less of an album and more of something that's a collection of potential hit singles. I was ordering for it to drive a middle path in a way. The idea that perhaps it could have we could have done on record a lot more of what we did in rehearsal, but then it would have been more jammy. There would have been more jazz meets prog meets classical meets everything. It could have been a tad more pan genre, but that's when you look back. Obviously, there are pressures, there are characters involved, there's a record company funding it, all of these things. So I think it's a product of its time, but then I think there were some good moments on it. The hit single I re-recorded with Steve Rothery and Madeleine on vocals and Roger King, and the re-record, I managed to do a number of things with that I wish had happened on the original. Again, whether it finds favour with a progressive audience or not, I don't know. I suspect there is a divide. Certainly the gods of pop were happy at the time.
Yes.
Whether rock was served, I think there are those who might prefer to hear Steve Howe doing Roundabout and me doing Supper's Ready. So you've got to live with it.
Were there times when the two of you just sat down with two guitars and wrote something together for that record?
Well, a funny thing is, what we used to do was to kick off the live show, we both used to play guitar, so it was just the two of us, and we played guitar separately, and then we came together and played as a duo, and that sometimes became a three-piece. And then, then we came back with the band. So those moments were there, and some of the live stuff features that. So, there were only really two albums. There's the studio album, there's the live one. There will be the bootlegs out there that will feature perhaps more of the material and the more experimental and the more relaxed stuff.
Okay.
Now the only problem is I have to make the other call. So,
yeah, I was thinking.
I have to go do what a guy's got to do at this point.
All righty. Well, thank you for dropping
Are you
by
okay with
again.
that, Sean? It's nice to talk to you again. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
All the best.
I hope our paths
so
cross
much.
again. Take care.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.